Okay, good morning, everyone. In your prayer book, turn to page 1. Always technical difficulties. Okay. All Mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious, kind Lama Vajradhara, the embodiment of the body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities of the Buddhas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, source of the 84,000 categories of the teaching, and Lord of the Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root lama and lineage lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the Idams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma guardians, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas embraced the enlightened mind and progressed on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, give birth to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Refuge of all sentient beings without exception, divine subjugator of terrifying Maras, together with their hosts of demons, the one who understands all realities without exception exactly as they are, transcendent conqueror, together with your disciples, please come here to this place. The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. Is it adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, and the sun and moon? As a Buddha field I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha fields. Whatever merit I've gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of the enlightenment of all sentient beings, all this I dedicate. Okay, so now turn to page 11. Namo, to the Lama of utterly pure appearance and existence, I offer the fundamental ground of appearance and existence. I supplicate you to thoroughly liberate the three realms. Please grant your blessings and overturn the depths of samsara. Sublime Master, wish-fulfilling jewel, crown ornament, the inconceivable, inexpressible mind of the victorious ones, the one endowed with the five wisdoms of omniscience, gracious one, the embodiment of love, precious protector of beings, I supplicate you from within the essence of mind. Please grant your blessings from within the innate nature. Please bless me that I may realize the Dharmakaya that is beyond intellect, this primordially unborn, completely pure mind. Transcendent conqueror, the one thus gone, foe destroyer of afflictive emotions, completely perfected Buddha, endowed with logic and virtue, the one gone to bliss, knower of the world, captain, tamer of beings, the unexcelled teacher of gods and men, I respectfully prostrate, completely touching my head to the stainless feet of the unequaled Shakya king. At the time of your birth, leader of two-legged beings, taking 7 steps on this great earth you proclaimed, I am supreme in this world. To you who are wise even then I prostrate. Possessing a body of complete purity, your sublime form is excellent. An ocean of primordial wisdom, you are like a golden mountain, the one whose renown is evident throughout the 3 worlds, protector of supreme attainment. To you I prostrate. To you who are endowed with the supreme marks, whose face is like an immaculate moon. To you, the one with a complexion like gold, I prostrate. A flawless one such as you among the 3 levels of existence is most exquisite. Unparalleled, omniscient one, to you I prostrate. Supreme among humans, captain of those to be tamed, the one thus gone who severs the all-binding fetters, who his senses pacified, is utterly pacified and skilled in peace. To that one, the one who dwelled at Shravasti, I prostrate. Refuge endowed with great compassion, totally omniscient one who indicates the way, ground bases for oceans of merit and qualities, I prostrate to the one thus gone. The pure cause free from attachments, the virtue that liberates from the lower realms, the altogether supreme ultimate truth, to the pacifying Dharma I prostrate. Having been liberated, they also reveal the path to liberation. Thoroughly respectful of the 3 higher trainings, they are a field of sublime qualities. To the Sangha I also prostrate. Okay, and then to page 9. To page 15. I prostrate to the youthful Manjusri, to those in the worlds of the 10 directions, however many there are, all the lions among humans who appeared during the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I pay homage with respectful body, speech, and mind. The force of my aspiration prayer for excellent conduct brings all the victorious ones directly to mind. Bowing down with bodies as numerous as atoms in the realms, I prostrate to all the victorious ones. In a single atom there are Buddhas as numerous as atoms, each residing in the midst of their sons and daughters. Like that, I imagine the whole Dharmadhatu completely filled with victorious ones. To those with oceans of inexhaustible, praiseworthy qualities, with sounds containing oceans of tones of melodic speech, I express the qualities of all the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas. With the finest flowers, the finest garlands, music, ointments, supreme parasols, supreme lamps, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest cloths, supreme scents, and fine powders equal to Mount Meru, all displayed in supreme and magnificent ways, I make offerings to those victorious ones. With vast and unsurpassable offerings, I venerate all the victorious ones. Through the power of faith and excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to the victorious ones. Whatever negative actions I have performed with body, speech, and also mind, overpowered by desire, aggression, and stupidity, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in everyone's merit, the victorious ones of the 10 directions, the Bodhisattvas or Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, those beyond training, and all beings. I request the protectors, the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who, passing through the stages of awakening, attain Buddhahood beyond attachment, to turn the unsurpassable Dharma wheel. I supplicate with my palms joined together those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, to remain for kalpas as numerous as atoms in the realms, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. I dedicate whatever slight virtue is accumulated through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and supplicating to enlightenment. Page 14.
Chaksalo Jiye Suda Chuchu Jitena Antu Son Yekpa Miye Senge Kun Dage Maru Teta Tamche La Ngalu Dang Aye Dangwe Chanche Wo Sambo Chupe Mona Topta Ki Yarwa Tamche Yije Moson De Shenge Dunye Lura Tupaye Yarwa Kunai Ratu Chansalo Duje Chena Dunye Sanje Nam Sanje Seje Unai Shubata Deda Chuki Yanan Malupa Tamche Yawa Dake Kamarmu Deda Kapal Mirse Yamsona Yangye Yana Yamso Dagunye Yawa Gunye Yonde Rapcho Ching Dewa Shekpa Tamche Dake Tlo Mito Tamba Chungwa Tamba Tang Asinye Nanda Chupa Dungcho Tang Mame Chotang Dupo Tamba Ye Yawa Deda Lane Chupa Ye Sa Tamba Nangdan Chencho Tang Jime Kome Rira Nyamba Tang Kope Jepa Pape Chokun Ye Yarwa Deda Layan Chopa Ye Chumba Kanai Lame Jachewa Adeda Yarwa Tamche Layan Zambo Chula Depe Totake Yarwa Kunai Shatsai Chubaji Doja Shidai Nemo Wangene Eludang Adam Digi Yang Dikpa Taki Gipa Jinji Pa Teda Tamji Dagi Soso Shao Joju Gyangya Kundan Sanje Se Rangya Nangdan Lodam Melodam Dowa Kunji Sonan Kandayang Deda Kunji Jesu Dayerang Kanda Chuchu Jikden Jomada Changjo Rinpa Sanje Mashadi Gongpo Deda Daki Tamche La Angolo Lana Mipara Kurvar Kue Nyange Daton Kanje Dedala Loa Gula Pejin Dereche Kyawa Shinge Dunye Shubayang Dake Temo Raja Sowaji Shaksa Wadai Chuchin Shapadang Anyesu Yiran Kushin Sowaye Gewa Chunse Dake Chisamba Tamche Dake Janju Chimbu.
To page 16. Please turn the wheel of the Dharma of the two vehicles and their combination, according to the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Good morning. Good morning. Nyamlen cheya ke ta mambo yubi nane tene keche shote ta kares hubina tene chi ki yu kandiji chungbi na yang ta ko nyamlen chebi ne nyamlen praktisho na korang ngo ne tene chi karse gore kwakabji yinbanda wuji tene tsolgo yusa desu.
So hello everyone. Today we'll see what we go through in terms of instructions and practice and so forth. And in particular, when it comes to practice, perhaps many of you are aware, but really one of the most important things when it comes to Dharma practice and meditation is that whatever occurs outwardly, no matter what appears and so forth, for real practitioners, we see this, no matter what arises, as an opportunity to really practice.
I don't know what it means. But yeah, yes, so this, I think that's very important. So, jetanga tsuda, 대송구도와 냠내 징행게 다 되네 람다 그 말이 제타 냠내 라테네 레다다 지 제타가서 탈바탐진 쳔베 공방에 토비아서야 돼. 그 초지디디 베렐 어인 반도지. 그러와. 가르송구 요래 휴비나 되네 진 군대 라페 떠잡레 세야지 에이 그래서 제용구요다 그러와 otherwise 초 심바직디디 다 가서 지 원에 전에 에 탈바탐진 쳔베 공방 톱스야 돼. 콜레로 메와 그러와 지 세랍망보 마제망보 초소남 소고야 오다 드리게 다 예탄 드리다 용구요레스.
So it is taught when it comes to practice, on one hand, to attain the omniscient state of Buddhahood, from one perspective, is actually really easy. And so, in this kind of perspective, it is taught that samsara, cyclic existence with suffering, and nirvana, the state beyond all suffering, are just like the front and the back of the hand. And so you just need to like rearrange your perspective, and then samsara is ultimately nirvana and so forth. And so on one hand, attaining complete enlightenment is easy, according to some instructions. And then elsewhere, though, it is likewise taught that it is not easy to attain the omniscient state of Buddhahood. In other, teachings, it's taught that we need to accumulate in, almost limitless amount of merit that we accumulate not just in one lifetime, but in a series of many lifetimes, and then only then do we have the capacity to attain the omniscient state of Buddhahood.
So now which one is truth, That he karsena ko contradictory yomares ro. Tangone the dembares both. Tinditine that he ko karsena that dependent individual do.
So these are not a contradiction. Both are true at the same time. It depends on the individual that is practicing.
다 단기 쉬워 나이래 나저 니주 가리 중비이나 지 원에 전에 고 고갑지인 바 로와 틴디직 셈지 냠래 집이나 당기 공원의 그와 나이래 단 군대 락페 또잡레 세야디 고다 대간을 랩고요레스 베나차 샤비나 되네 단다 대용도 절보 인담보데 되네 절보 인담보데 코랑 다 당보 코랑야 다 피제세나레 남바 말이 이미네야 고 남바치 추슈 왕토 코랑 초바토 바점 마지베게 되네 직다 디기 코랑케 직다 under the kingdom inare 칸다양 롱바 텔라 되네 직 갈세고래다 추 토바텔라 나이힘베게 되네 직 냠내 치용도 되네 롱바디 차창게 모두 차창라 되네 다르게 공부 근데 토브레스 라기도 어다티 원에 전에 냠내 집이나 거다 들리지 연구요로 와
So, along those lines, whatever we are practicing with, we can understand that, both of these, have a point, both of these perspectives. And, ultimately, practice is something that we do with our minds. And so, in this instruction of how, samsara, cyclic existence, with all of its suffering, and nirvana, the state beyond suffering, are just like a difference in perspective, like the front and the back of our hand. On one level, this is something that we can, realize with our practice, all of us. So, in the story of the king, Indrabhuti, who was a king in this land northwest of ancient India, so we're talking like, 1400 years ago or something like that. Or 1200 years ago. So this kingdom is called Udayana. So in this kingdom of Udayana, kind of like northwest of India, there was this king, Indrabhuti. And at first he wasn't necessarily like a Buddhist, but he became a Buddhist, he took refuge and so forth, and requested the Dharma from teachers, received empowerments, and then through practicing, then he attained siddhi, like these, accomplishments and magical realization and so forth. And so not only did he attain accomplishment, but the entire country and the entire kingdom, received the Dharma teachings and practiced and so forth. And the entire kingdom, all of them attained the omniscient state of Buddhahood. And so the entire kingdom vanished and became a pure realm. And so everybody was enlightened. So this can actually happen. This is, through Dharma practice, this can occur.
Tanga to di tanga tena kongkyu na yiri ta koka opportunity ri lawya ke ta khandiji nga to sam tangu gyo re rawa nyamlen khandiji chi gu yo res labina tene ta danda di ta situation ni tsutela ta ko mandawa mambo yorwa 카리오레 라비나 다 니츠카히 다 퍼스널로 와 알아와 베나지 내가 중중 텐데라 tenenga 조지 차도랑리오레 니츠 중중 텐데라 테니 해당랑리오레 니츠 중중 텐데라다 아자지기오레 양한 니츠 중중 텐데라 테네 베셈데랑리오레 테네 니츠 중중 텐데라 테네 갈세고라다 베네 현황 제기오레스 다테 니츠 제기레스 봐 니츠 현이 그 situation 베 갈세고레 첨보요레스 봐 첨보 간디지리 라위나 다직 니츠 첨보대 갈선 다직 예캅라 노바요바 커뮤니티레 노바요와 라와 오다 텐리게 토네 땅아서 해당랑 나세게레 대가나 이 텐리고 첨보요 짐센텔레 되네 다 갈사고레 해나제세게레 나자제세게레 해당지 쓰기레스
So when it comes to, for ourselves, for opportunities to practice, we have to look at our situations, and we have all different types of situations that we, individually work with. And in terms of our like small personal situations, because of our individual constitution and makeup and different things that we experience, sometimes very small, situations, just a very small thing for some people can, inwardly cause, can be a condition for great, jealousy to arise. Or, likewise, little things can trigger somebody and then they get angry. Or, we can become very prideful about things. Or, certain things, depending on our disposition, can cause us anxiety. They can cause us, create a situation where we experience fear. And so all these like little things that we experience make up, our situation that we have to work with practice. Likewise, we also have these collective experiences that we experience as, sometimes an entire country, or at the very least, we experience as a community. Certain things can happen where everybody in the community gets angry, or,
벨테르와다 그 situation 텔라 두보요레스 좀 텔레데네 제카블라 노바 치기요와 커뮤니티라 노바요와 다 강다지 다 섬블링라 농에 노바 당게 요나 다 가서 티 노바 당게 텔라 다 공존한 거와 와다 텐데 그 첨보로 와다 단디 제게 충성으로 와 티 제게 첨보레스 이다 그 시당도 또 지파로 와
So, for example, if there is a person or, a group that is harming our, people in our country, everybody in the country might get upset and angry. Or if there is a person or group or thing that is harming a community, then people in that community can get very angry at that, harm doer. And the same thing can happen, an entire community or country can experience fear, or, entire country or community can experience pride. And so these things and afflictive emotions can be experienced in a vast way collectively as well. So they can be experienced individually by ourselves due to like small situations, and they can also be experienced collectively, depending on bigger circumstances.
이는 야다 both, right? Can handle 지국으로 와. 이는 야다 코란이 양 can handle 제야라 그 two different ways 지국이었어요.
So we can handle these situations
or take opportunities.
or take them as an opportunity to practice both small situations and bigger situations in two different ways.
다 단기 공부가 나기래. 다 중중이나 다 가서나 다 핸들 진행디 다 저랑 차디요래. 근데 인비 좀 센터를 때네 단기 공부가 나기래. 다 직 배나 해당지 지어서나 텔라 다 양고 지 핸들 제당 양 가시 요소레스 진행적으로 때는 해당지 요나
So, in terms of taking, having a handle on small things and small situations, these are in great part, up to us and what we do. And so, for example, when there are conditions out there that make us, angry, by which we, would normally get angry and upset, there are a couple different ways we can approach that to handle that situation individually.
Maybe 3 ways. 다디 가르세나 담보디 가르세나다 그 지엔제를 때네 나좀 그러와요래 나좀 원내리래 딘디 미 좀센데나 그 뇽모바 제기요래 에레와 텔라 다 not big deal 그 normally 이미 이나야 다 담보들라 얘들 3 things 라인바 담보들 같이 거서나 다 patient 디가라 거지 immediate reaction 마야데 잭트레스 님바디 가르라고 이나 다 디톨 create 마지야 알아 reason 맞세야 excuse 마지야 알아 다 단기 해당지 랑바래 고타가랑 샤고 요레스 디강랑 가서 디톨이야 다동양지 고 가르세가 가르치는 라고 요래 가르치는 지기 요래 오다 가라디 논투요 말에 되니도 삼나 고 다기 기고 해당데 체르로 그래 다 가리나 해당이나래 다 용바 가리나 체르로 그러와 오다 니바디 대차디요레스 숨바디 가르쳐디 요르센 다 당연히 그런 휴바나기리 다 아부치네리와 오 땅원에 전에 디 트레인당아 해당랑송스 디 해당 들라다 가리도라위나 당원에 직 닌제제야 그때 가서 리마인드고 레샤스 참바제야 그다 갈세나다 운동도 가서 고갑지 레샤스 그가는 이게 가르고 요라위나 오 당아 어서 장제 선배 domba 휴요래 상아가 왕토요래 텐디제 인도 나 not only ordinary person 와 텐디 당아 갈세 그래 베나차샤비나 잠도래다 잠도 가서 잠도 휴요래 잠도 클럽자 와 티네 장저 선배 클럽자 그래서 하고요래 테네 상아도리 되게다 탐색당 라지 하고요래 텐데 임비 좀산들 때네 나라야다 오늘 레면도 와스 와 티인딩아 코체 믹스 체발진 히레스 티 임비 토네 다레 나다 네 추충충지 그와 뇽모버 충충지게 다가 want to do means 티차블라 해당랑의 요나 참바 배다 차도 지기 요나 되네 예수이랑 오다 텐데지네 되네 다 공고야 되고 three things 티니지레스
So the 차로 예수이랑 당 셰랑
얘네 다 참바 당 인제 해당이나래 나제이나래 다 라서 뭐 요러
So then in terms of these 3 ways that we can practice and handle afflictive emotions, for ordinary individuals in cyclic existence, they might think that afflictive emotions are just something that happen. People get angry, people have various emotions and so forth. But for ourselves, to actually work with afflictive emotions, there are these three ways. So for example, if we are in a situation where we normally would become angry, the first way that we can work with that situation is instead of getting angry, so somebody does something or something happens and normally we would get upset. So instead of that, we don't do that and we practice patience. Or also in the Tibetan context, that also kind of includes forgiveness in a way, that the term. And so the second way to practice is that normally when we get angry, we go through all the reasons why our anger is justified. And we say, well, this person did this thing and they were thinking this when they did this to us, and of course I would be angry. And we tell everybody else and they're like, oh, you have a right to be angry, and like all these different things. And then our anger solidifies. So instead of doing that, we don't make excuses. And without excuses, we realize that anger is not a beneficial afflictive emotion. We confess that, and we let it go, and we set our anger down, and we let it go. Instead of just focusing on the anger and the reason where it gets bigger and bigger, we let it go. And so then the third way of handling anger is to see it as an opportunity. And so with this, we think, okay, today, here's the situation where, I could become angry. But this really is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to remind me, to remind us to have greater, love, greater compassion for beings. It's an opportunity to practice, real love in the face of, something that would normally cause us to get angry. It's easy to maybe have love when things are all good, but when things are difficult, it's a greater struggle. So this is really an opportunity to practice love. It's an opportunity for us, as practitioners, we have received the Bodhisattva vow. We have received the vows or the empowerments of secret mantra. And so we aren't ordinary people. For example, too, we have also received refuge, and we have, we are in the practice of the trainings of refuge. We are doing the practices of upholding the Bodhisattva vows and training in bodhicitta, the enlightened mind that is, grounded in love and compassion. And furthermore, we are training in the practices of secret mantra. And so we are not ordinary individuals, and we don't need to just react to these circumstances in any ordinary way. In fact, we have these extraordinary ways of practice. And so in this type of situation, we should realize, okay, this is an opportunity for me to really practice. This is great. We don't have to just, become some kind of lesser person and being and get caught up in this. But instead, we can utilize this opportunity. So instead of getting angry, we can cultivate love and compassion. Instead of, having jealousy and feelings of competitiveness and so forth, we can rejoice in the well-being and, happiness of others.
어디인데 데레다 계산가서다 로송도 로 첨부 샘 첨부 다들 차고 임바리와 계산가서 될라고도 택파 첨부 송그래다 택파 첨부 순두 가르세나 다 the Sanskrit de la Mahayana lagdo tadi kandisina mahazidi 첨부 ke tradition do inaya 다 법에게 가서 책에 돌아 택파 첨부 순구도 택파 첨부 순두 돈다다 가르고 요래랍도 로 첨부 태가 나이게 돕 첨부 베네 잘라로지 첨부지 그러와 짜도 그래 송래 잘라 첨부 키도 그래 송래 베네 갈세나지 강에 간디지 요비나 심지한게 동치야라 강에 요라와 심지한 남바나 저라와 이나 틴디 텔라 테네 로바치야 틴디 텔라 지위께다 고 갈세고 택바 첨부 로 첨부 오다 틴디지 엘라 테네 고기요래 오다 데코 틴디 인디 땅가서디 택바 첨부 당로 첨부데 간데서 착사래와 선무당 거와 ngazo nechu chungchung je la khongro lana ta thegyo marda choyo marda kan ta ti ngazo danda di sta simdon nyamne khona chung be kabla khandi jire hyuina penna mujye ke dobolavya mujye ke nyogda ya magawa machiwa songken thela tene par tel tsewachiya alwa ta tandan ro ina nga chodi ta injigi ma sona ko give me islam na ta I'm sorry say ya ji yorwa wada tindi ji chi thobina ta ngoni dangi di ko nga so ji mengthang thong chung ba ji ta ko ti chung gu yoda ta ko lo di chimbo yorwa mati ke dubola yore mati nyora gu yore yine yang tela control la yang da ke sabla tene ji be karse gore chambajeya ningjejeya tene ji ta ko ji kismo sonna tene ji sori lawya oda tene ji chuna tene nga chongone main dang thong chung be ke tene tekpa chembo ro nga zo jara inata 야침보 짜통가 나신바게 되네 로 간디제기 시츄에이션 요비나 되네 로 튼주와 메바이나 되네 가스다 대바 첨보세요 마야나 세야 자기요사레스
So here then in general we are wanting to have a great mentality, a great mind. And so in Buddhism, there is what is called the Mahayana, the great vehicle. And so in the great vehicle of teachings, in Sanskrit, it is Mahayana. And so the kind of context there is Maha is great, Yana is like vehicle, like means to, get somewhere. And in Tibetan, it is called Tekpa Chempo. And so the implied meaning in Tibetan refers really to having this great mind, this vast way of thinking. And it also implies having a great power, a great strength, an ability to carry big things. So this kind of like great vehicle that can carry and transport big things, carry the heaviest loads, the biggest burdens. And so ultimately, for practitioners of the great vehicle, it is no matter what problems and difficulties arise, we are able to help sentient beings. We are able to work to benefit sentient beings. And so, how does this occur? So, when, for example, small things arise, and normally, situations could cause us to get angry and upset. Instead of this, we can, if we just react to these situations, somebody does something kind of messed up, and we react to the situation as normal, our mind becomes petty too, and we think, oh, this person, they're all messed up and bad, and our mind becomes small. And that's one way that we can react. On the other hand, we can become big, and we can take it upon ourselves to just see that this person is also just acting out of afflictive emotions, which is in some ways is sad, and we can have compassion and love for them in their situation. And we can, forgive these people and try to work out, instead of perpetuating, a situation of anger, apologize, preemptively, to kind of create harmony, and, cultivate love, compassion, and so forth. And so when we do this, our minds stretch and become bigger. They go beyond ourselves. They go beyond just being, we go back and forth as petty, small-minded individuals, but our mind becomes great. And in this way, we are able to carry, these bigger loads that go beyond ourselves, just beyond, small, petty situations. But we, are able to lift, and carry the bigger load. So in this way, that is what is meant by the great vehicle, the Mahayana, the Tekpa Temple.
That is how to handle the small situation. That second, maybe the big problem. Tinita penangato Jacob Nato Jacob Turguyona, Rawa, that Simjam Mambola Be Segio, a lasso becatine, Notichembo Tanwe Kabla, that I don't go to that, Kogato Kola Hasa, Yingisiate, Pecale Kabora. That is Kisi Gombina Yanko, Gontoya Major Jerry Tarwa, Tindutine.
So, on the other hand, in a second situation, as Drupon said, maybe we actually do have a pretty big problem. And so, maybe it's not just some, petty argument or disagreement, but maybe our entire country is being attacked, and all kinds of sentient beings are being killed, our, entire communities and so forth are being destroyed. And so we can say, just, meditate through it and have, compassion. But even though we say, okay, I'm just going to meditate and love my enemies, it's a little more difficult than just going through the mental motions.
That thing, that tell situation, that analyze Chigo Sares, Tashi Chirwa. That thing, tell handle Chigo, how to handle. Thing, Tanga to the song, that Tinichina, Jetan and the song your Sanjake. Penatindi regular reaction go grace, somebody. Penanga to Penda Chachavina, Mujik Lahameta and Roviona, Rovasahameta Anas.
Sakam?
Sakanwa, temple made Yagiona, Matohichiona. Tinea Gemosho Shata Tako, Ninja Geste, and Digmaris on the war. That reaction go grace, Tine in Digmaris.
So, when these kind of, big destructive situations happen, we need to analyze these situations and, think how do we handle this? So, in general, if we follow the Buddhist teachings, there are certain situations that it's appropriate to have some type of reaction towards. For example, if there is a situation where there is a Dharma community and like a vast, temple of practitioners that gets destroyed and everybody killed, it's inappropriate and it's not good. We can't just sit there and be like, haha, there's an illusory monastery, got destroyed, some people got killed. No problem, we'll just have love. Love and compassion will solve the situation. It's not that big of a deal. We can't just think that way. We need to have a reaction is appropriate in that situation.
What 인도 다 텔라 가리세나 땅에 당게 공큐나 예래 다 다시 치고래서 애널라이즈로 당보 텔라 가르고 요래서나 직 양아서 샘게 땡을 스타크 직다 고두고래 고이베 야고면도 선배kel로 제네 직 컨트롤 람비이나 파이 유텔 팽게도가 팽게면도가라와 유텔라 캔 핸다 치투게도와 치투게면도가 다 섬당거와 이네야 normally 가르치는 거지 지 샤단다 비체글라네 리액션 티게 팽히라 토고요 말에 다 팽토야 돼 가르치나 탑다 헤랍 송다 헤랍 거고네 탑 거고네 딘리제 게 토라트네 당가 섬당 안 그랬어.
So, with this type of situation, then, as mentioned before, we need to analyze it. So, on one hand, our minds can get stuck, obviously, thinking, this is such a horrible thing, and we get angry, and, we get upset, and we want to react out of that. But we have to think, is this what's the benefit of that? When we get angry and upset and react only from that perspective, what's going to happen? Normally, if we get angry, there's all these faults and so forth. And so in this particular situation, is it going to be beneficial if we react out of anger? And, what is appropriate in this situation? And so we can look at that situation too from a balance of applying, what is called method and wisdom, this combination of method and wisdom.
어다 딘리인도 그냥 가서다 대송도와 대송에다 지용차네 다 잠불링을 단단 가서 따다 배 situation 다 가서나 마자기요래 야보요 말에 maybe jumsendi kari sangaso analyze chivina ta mangachi da jebanzimba rawa ranchi go mato samno mata miki jumsen tele dene ko problem chatanji tine yungu yores.
So when we analyze this situation, we can look, for example, at the world these days. And if we look at what's happening in the world, we find that there are, situations where there is warfare and different types of atrocities being committed and so forth. And most of these situations, in general, if we analyze this, these types of wars come about when people have this self-clinging on an individual level or collective level where they are cherishing themselves more than others, and due to this self-fixation and then all these problems of fighting and disagreement, to the degree that people, grasp at their own identity, they, react in these ways, and all these different wars and so forth come from that.
어다 틴리인도 다 내가 틀레토디도 가르쳐다 조 주주치야데 가르쳐야데 요래 라비나 다 인디비주얼케 지금 제번짐바디 총로 땅비나 티 누파텔라 맞서 섬지미자비 김누파 요레스 로와 틴두다 코지 페나차샤비나 잠블랭케 마참말라 닝제유조 청첩샘유조 지 니마제 기차고나 차가 요 말이 이나양 고 one by one 로와 제니 근데 제제되네 집이나 되네 고야 곤조라 탭토가게 니파 요레스 티니다 라제번짐바 라제번짐비케다 독초 로와 엔티도트 카르차디 요르세이나 되네 가지지 현라지 로와 삼노땅야 가두이나 제가 나 이게 맞아 대국이었다 가서 그래. 소파이 날에 커뮤니티 날에 텔라 되네 지 가서 그래. 다 샤자 라고와. 다 샤자 담한테네 다 강시 로열티 카리트 제바 카리나다. 다대 고야다 개체 뭐 인사데스.
So we might think that, when we just as individuals go beyond our self-clinging and self-cherishing and kind of let go of just, thinking about ourselves, that it's not very, strong or powerful, but just a single person having a mind of going beyond their own self-grasping has inconceivable power and benefit. This is because when even just one of us is able to develop love and compassion, that can grow to another person. And when two people and more people, one by one, develop love and compassion and this attitude of altruism and not just focusing on themselves, this can spread to encompass everyone. And so even just one of us having that in the face of difficulty can change everything, has the power to change everything. And so there is incredible power and opportunity. And so really the antidote to self-clinging, to self-cherishing, which leads to all these difficulties, really is wanting to benefit others, to think about how to help others. And so what is really needed is for us to not just have this perspective of, identifying with ourselves and our own groups and our own, kind of, personal kind of situation, but when we focus on the collective good of ourselves, everyone, all beings, all of humanity, then our capacity then can really tremendously grow.
어때인도 다 지용차네 다 참인 챙기요리 이비는 양다 당봉아 저디 토바 삼바 곰바 숭구도와 대니 당가서 당보 토바디 다 고고요리 대니 당보대 간이 제거와라와 대니데 넘보박 숭요리 추 지발라 대니 지당도 做책이레스 당보 지당도 야고 마시비나 대니 지추 갈리자비나 양고 드리베트 점이 통거 말레스 대니 인도 당보대 주 간디스 지고 버들이 다주 간디스 지고를 당이 공티가 나이다 군롱으로 와 군롱 대다 개체 못 차디오레스
So, most of you know, but it's important when we are approaching the Dharma to progress through hearing and studying to contemplation and meditation. And our Dharma should, Dharma training should include all of these. And in particular, hearing and studying the Dharma is really important. And Gampopa taught that, in the beginning we need to have a general idea of how to practice the Dharma. In particular, so that when different, situations arise, that we know really, how to practice. And so, in essence, one of the main things is that we need to, have the right perspective of motivation and intention when it comes to, our practice and our different actions that we can apply in the situations of life.
Also, this kind of thinking about is not only like kind of superficial, with just not made up, So I said this, have to, like for example, one example is we get something angry, right? So that moment is feeling, our body and the mind, sensations, not well, right? So we can say uncomfortable, whatever. So that you have to change. So not like kind of looking to, I'm not angry to you, not like that. But your inner strength is, okay, now these sensations I have to change. So like maybe you can do love to others, or you can do just relax, So sometimes the too difficult, okay, you can immediately you don't like the person, immediately you love is harder, But then you're something else. You're not losing the life or peace and joy. So there you can, okay, this you one moment, whatever you have, good things, opportunity things. So you go there, So first you get angry, but why are you angry? So I'm fun, Are you okay? So it is okay, So actually, other people cannot make anything, So depending their reaction, really is. So interesting, right? This kind of sometimes we are, I don't know, maybe Dharma aspect is kind of according to the Dharma or whatever. Sometimes we're not smart, actually, right? I think I saying the not smart means somebody said you are bad, you are ugly, whatever. They cannot make this. Somebody said you are ugly, okay? That's one example. They said a million times, but you physically never change. So that's why I this angry. Or somebody want to, I want to make bad, or he's just, I don't like this, this person is maybe have to make, problems, something, whatever, no matter, these other people's, or saying things, or planning, or thinking, but they never change. So that's why we don't need reaction, So that's, I think, that's kind of like I said, the opportunity, so not losing, no matter, okay, if we are Dharma practitioner, right? So we are Dharma practitioner. Okay, today is nice weather, nice food. Enjoy. Be happy. Right? Practice. Or this maybe actually more you can generate it, happy. Oh, that is maybe good. I have. Of course, there's karma, So maybe that's just not bad, Good. But not every day like that, So maybe one day, maybe problem comes, Difficulties. That time is you not losing your enjoy or happy, So many ways. So maybe some days difficult. Okay, very good, I can't pay away my karma, So I say this, maybe get angry. Oh, I have opportunity to practice love and compassion, So if you really Dharma practitioners, always there are opportunities, always there are chance. Actually, more chance is more circumstance, difficulty time, That's true. You sick, then we really thinking about somebody sick. Then we have compassion, right? So I have problems. Then we can see the other people's problem. Maybe we are poor, Maybe one day we no money. Then we know other people no money, we see. But maybe with rich people, there's, I don't know, maybe not thinking about the poor situation, Why he's poor, he don't working, But it's not, there are many different circumstances, So sometimes I said these difficulties, the more opportunity to Dharma practice. I said this, the guardian, right? Guardian, they said no suffering. So they never practice in guardian. Meantime, there's no suffering, no difficulties, Everything's fine, Or I enjoy beauty, music. So then completely forget the Dharma, So sometimes I think it really is that this sometimes difficulty, angry or worry, if those are we use to good way, So then we said earlier, so then very close to samsara and nirvana, So because your situation is like, shaky, but your mind is not shaky, right? Stable. Or if you better, you can transform it. So that's it. Then we call this samsara and nirvana is like a side of your hand, easy. But if we afflict emotions, try to handle, if not, afflict emotions, just live long free, Freely, they are counter to us. Then, I said, nirvana is very far away. So so that's why I think. So so do you have some questions? If no question, 다 대화나기 다 가서 디 샘 담아고 다 샘 당마들 간리고 요르나 조게 갈센다 단기 고직 샘 당마 미용야케 에다 지 갈세당 가서 다 스무원 통망통라고 요래 강한다리야 가르차가 요래라위나 다 뇽몽 바라와 이네 뇽몽 바 디스 가서 까봐 지부케 갈세나 샘 경고 세나리 샘 담아서야 돼 제약하고래서 배는 3년 3년 다 가서 마치지 배는 높죠 반도 의미나 다 공자야 그 내가라 팽겨요래 야보래 인트레스팅 요래 곰래와 이나 다지 그 내가 용바지 까샤바 특지구게 그샘 담아대 랩토고요 말와 대종벌에 되네 즉 가서 되요와 차자 첨부 그나라 되네 배나 샘 까대와는 왔더라 인당 가서 통보 신내들라 샘 까다가고 요래 인베는 요부터 지구게 가르샘지게 랑 요새와다 통토고요 말 샘 까바zam지 대가나 이 텔레비전이야 차자 첨부나 출라 달자다 버서는 출라 달자야나 거기서 까샤래 최대 가서나 거기 강착화티 랩데리 가르사나 그 뒤체들라 최대 근조요 말하고 당가서 웹로 용거 말해 가서나 주고 얘기 강게 freezing ice 키고 말랩디 요와 얘네야 그 아이스 파 휴나 이렇게 사마잖아 양 웹 레온 거와 보다 제가 가서 고고 요리 뒤네야 그샘 샘제랑이 샘 타마디 콜랩 투요 말해 제가 나게 샘 타마다 말하나 되는 가서 지금 joyful 세야지 되는 텔랩 투요 말와
So ultimately, what we are looking to realize is the, completely pure mind. However, it's not something that, just comes. And when we practice and we are able to, somewhat slow down and halt the afflictive emotions in our mind, that's good, but it doesn't allow us to fully see the essence of the mind, the nature of the mind. That's kind of more difficult to see. And so ourselves in the West, we think about, meditation's really good. Meditation is this great thing, we can sit and it's really interesting to have a calm mind. It increases productivity, all kinds of, we think about meditation as a beneficial thing. However, in general, just meditating isn't enough to really get to a place of experiencing the pure nature of the mind. When we talk about the ultimate, nature of the mind, Mahamudra, the great seal, it's not just experiencing the mind that is stopped and temporarily free from thoughts. It's not just the state of calm abiding, shamatha. And, we might, so there is some kind of discussion about like, the mind being like ice, kind of frozen by afflictive emotions and becoming, ice. And in order to see the pure kind of nature of, the water of the mind, we need to, melt that ice, melt the, concepts and so forth. And, in that.
배나 가서 출라서와 당가 샘 까샤나 샘 까서나 남도 까기로와. It is like 가 chula tarchawana is.
Darchucks.
Chusena frozen water. That moment, during that time freezing the ice, then ko web yomar chukunyu yagmarwa. Chu degrees. They're not permanent. In a thing, Yamaji ice husona, then you should web your rich and rogue. What then I young that same kahana, Kabi Ringana during that time, yes, Sam is the number yomarwa. In a young cote, Dembatoya is carbores. Koyanam for long grace.
Excuse me, to retranslate. I kind of got that wrong. So when we meditate, then temporarily the mind, the kind of thoughts in the mind and the nature of the mind, or not the nature of the mind, but the mind is frozen. So the mind becomes like ice. And so at that point in time, the mind's not moving. So if we're in a state of calm abiding, the mind in this ice-like state, there aren't thoughts moving back and forth. But with this type of practice, then the moment that we're not calmly abiding, then the water of the mind just starts moving again like normal. And so this isn't...
The ice melted, the ice melts after
So in this metaphor, you can freeze the mind, but once, the mind is unfrozen in this context, then, the river of the mind just continues again. So the river of the mind gets frozen and thoughts stop, but then it doesn't stop the cause of the movement in the mind. And so, this isn't, really seeing the, reaching the true, joyous state of seeing the ultimate nature of the mind.
Well, that thing is that of course, the goming do body la maris, gomia boris. In being a young class, tea taller carigogures, Huvina, that tabagogures.
So, of course, this type of meditation isn't bad. It's good. It's, some type of progress and meaningful and so forth. But it's not, the ultimate form of meditation. So what do we need to kind of progress further beyond just having a temporarily still mind? We need to cultivate faith.
That this is not confusing yoris, teba, the Karimtanga, he conflict, mambo yori, particularly of Chobaina, go trade more conflict, Yorova, teba, the bling faith, and the religious, the faith, this conflict yoris. Rova, Marve.
You can do it. Okay. So, when we say faith, a lot of people in the West, get kind of confused and they're conflicted about the idea. In the West, people are, sort of jaded and against, having blind faith and being told to just be, kind of religious and believing in dogma and so forth. And so people have this conflicted relationship with this idea of faith.
이는 다 대 말이스 개침보리다 가르치 거르세나 샘 당마지 용고다 빼는 것은 로이나 다 MH 빼는 하러와 사딩 원에 지나 사디 파이디 당가대양 사마레 스타츄대양 사마레 인다 그 리프레젠트 가서 손직 사지 요로 사지 요레스 와
So it's not that. It's not what a lot of people are thinking in the West, this faith. really what we are cultivating faith towards is the pure nature of the mind. And so, for example, when we have these images of like the deities and the Buddhas and so forth, so like these enlightened deities aren't, we see a deity, but the tanka, the picture, isn't, what we have faith towards. The statue.
Not just,
Yeah, the picture isn't really the Buddha. The statue isn't necessarily, like the Buddha. The Buddha isn't just the metallic statue. These are symbols for the true nature of enlightenment.
다 티인데 드니질 가서 댄서 찍다 maybe나 가서 다 가서 샘게 뭐 또야 치들라 다 가서 속이 요래서 와상기.
So, but without, these representations, then we don't have a form to kind of connect with. And so these forms are symbolic means that we can relate to enlightenment that, is ultimately present.
다 티인데 다 대가나기 다 가서 단다 소샤조기 다 represent like 사이나 베나 상제이나 되네. 다 거네 지금 상제 힐 따고 요래서 와. 상제 힐 따니 가르 고고 요래서나 그샘 담아지기로 와. 샘 담아지 배 찌나 되네 거다 대바되다 래고 요래서 와 티강라. 티가나기 되네 다 티강라 샘 담아서야디 대바디 미리나 샘 담아데 용말에 샘 담아데 미리나 되네 가서다 가르세나 샘지랑이 도토고 말와. 와 티인데 되네 지금 가서 다 참상 가서 리즌 가서 라 hin기요래 티인데 진압이요래 이나 티고라 따지로와 되네 솔로지 되네 직다 당가이나래 라이나 티고지 대용도 되네 샘 그거지 요와 매워지 때 탈람 넘로지 통미나 되네 그 티고디 되네 다 샘지랑이 되네 통고요. 어떻게 되네 다 가서 대바지에 고고래들라 대바로 다 어떻게 지글라 되네 가서 다 대바스 향요래서.
So, really here, when we see these representations, these forms, and we look at their ultimate nature as the pure nature of the mind, then, we give rise to faith. When we see that they are a symbolic means for us to connect with the pure nature of the mind, then true faith arises. And so, in this way, we are taught to see, these tankas, the statues and so forth, as the nature of the Buddhas. And through that special means, then we can actually see, the inherent Buddhahood in all. And so the reason why there is this blessing and so forth, it comes through connecting with the pure nature of the mind. And so, these tankas and so forth, they really allow, ultimately they are just a symbolic means, but when we see them with, a pure mind and see them as symbols of the pure mind within ourselves, then, we really can see the pure nature of the mind. And so then it becomes appropriate to then have faith, because these are, tools by which we can actually see the pure nature of the mind. And so, in that way, they do become profound.
다 ultimate level, 와. 나 가르치고 다 페트 술치고 랑을 치고 와. 다 가서 다 가르쳤는데 가서 레 담보 반다고 있나 지 키기유 베나 다 상지 주겐도 권조 somla 소바 데티라 소바다 근데 지요래 다다 마토비 고라 근데 콘솔레 때 콘솔레 힘오다 대바지 근데 지용배가라 되네 샘적 뭐도 통용 거라 다디 통용배가라 되네 가서 당원에 대바 당마다 지역이거래 대바 당마다 지용배가라 되네 다 대바의 술이 지역거든 랑을 지역거다 랑지고 말이 다 뒤또야게 탑텔라 되네 다 탑만 보여래 되네 사창만 대바지 그래 되네 대가 나기 되네야 고직 뭐 인스트럭션 중에 라마를 대바지 그리고 다 라메 틴텔라 되는 게 되는 또송스 배는 예단한 되는 이 드롭이 좀 센텔라 되는 게 토송스 되네 다 예단한 칸데나 되네 다 대바지 거다 이제 지금 어떻게 돼서 다 제타 대바지야 돼 가르세나 대바디 주미기 대바다 대반다면다 요래 이나야 주미기 대바지가 다 원에게 대바니 요래 송도와 인다 주미 대바지는 가서 다 대바지 제다 당의 대반도 배 대발라서보다 요래 이나야 다 대바양 다바데 가르지고 다 똑바지고랑 스무 통용배 깝라 되네 다 통고 다 할, 다 이제지고래 오 다 텔레데네 톱송스 라마 텔레데네 톱송송 되네 내가 지주밀레 송도와 지주밀레 게 말발라 대바요래 로와 대바요래 베나 차샤위나 ordinary sense 베나 같이라 치거다 로와 강바 야야야야야블라나 야야기요래 마예라나 마예기요래 냥기요래 로와 이미이나양 샘게 땡게 대바양 타바데 이거 말해 좀 생각하시면 그 말을 받고 똑같이 요 말해 샘지랑 인거부터 통요 말와 대인도 되네 다 제레 되네 다 제제레 되네 말을 봐 참대 말받아 공부도 잘해 공부도 잘 다냥 똑같이 지용배 깔라 되네 뭐네 다 대바지 거다 이양 타베기 대바데 다 말발 로자데 가레 라위나 말발 로자데 상제 이열매와 다 똑고다 텔리 상제 다른 상제 하바 대송도와 니스문 통야데 가르지는 통벌에 로와 다 말베까지를 되는 통성스러워 어떻게 지리다 the reason about 대바데 가서 대바데 드니지 하고 그러와 그래서
So ultimately, you know, we might think like, oh, so we're told to have, you know, faith towards these Buddhas and Tankas and statues and so forth, but really in this tradition, the ultimate faith that we are, you know, striving to realize is faith in ourselves and faith in the Buddha nature that is, you know, within us, the nature of the mind, the source of all the qualities of enlightenment and so forth. And so for beginners on the path, then we cultivate, you know, faith towards the Buddhas, faith towards the Dharma, faith towards the enlightened manifestations of all the different enlightened deities and so forth. But then through relying on the various means of practice, utilizing these, then ultimately we are trying to see the essential nature of the mind and realize the ultimate nature of the mind. And so when we realize and purify, you know, see the ultimate pure nature of the mind, then, you know, faith is not something that we have outwardly. It's faith in the Buddhahood from within. And so, and again, too, it's not just faith in ourselves, but it's faith in the Buddhahood of, you know, all. And so furthermore, in this tradition of practice, one of the special methods is to cultivate faith towards the mind of our teachers, the mind of the Lama. And this is something that is done in particular when we think about the kindness of the teachings of our teachers that they bestow upon us. And through practicing those teachings, to see, these teachings would instruct us to look and see the nature of our own minds, we are able to realize that and free ourselves, from bondage. And so recognizing the kindness of these teachers, then we develop faith. Furthermore, too, when in this tradition of secret mantra, when we practice, cultivating the practices of the Yidam deities, then we are able to attain the accomplishments of the different practices, the cities. And so in this way, we cultivate faith and devotion towards the Yidam deities. And so ultimately, there are many different discussions of faith. Sometimes there are, these three different types of faith, kind of like there is kind of what is called desiring faith, like longing faith, and confident faith, and so forth. But we can also think of faith as kind of fabricated or unfabricated faith. And so ultimately we are striving to cultivate sincere, uncontrived, true faith. And so this comes when we see the nature of the mind through practice. And this type of faith we generate towards, the deities, our gurus, our lamas, our teachers, when we really see that from within without, fabricating anything. So this is the true, type of unfabricated faith. So in the story of the, Kagyu lineage, so like about 1,000 years ago or 900 years ago, there was the yogi Milarepa who relied upon his teacher Marpa. And in the beginning, Milarepa had ordinary faith towards Marpa. He would, follow after Marpa and do whatever Marpa said. And so Marpa would say, okay, build this, building, in this shape, and then Milarepa would do it. He'd build the building. Then Marpa would say, take it down and take all the stones back, where you found them. And then so Milarepa would take it down. And Milarepa had faith and, thought that, it would be helpful to follow whatever Marpa taught. But it wasn't an ultimate type of faith that came from seeing the true nature of the mind. And so after Milarepa had followed after Marpa and followed his instructions for building different buildings and so forth, then Milarepa went into retreat to really practice. And when Milarepa went into retreat, then practicing Marpa's instructions, then he was able to see the true nature of the mind. And when he realized that it was through Marpa's instructions that he could see, Mahamudra, the great seal of the true nature of the mind, then he realized connecting with Marpa and Marpa's mind and Marpa's teachings was no different than meeting with the Buddhas themselves. And so he saw that Marpa was inseparable from all the Buddhas. And in fact, Marpa's kindness through meeting, this manifestation of his teacher, Marpa, he was able to receive these instructions directly in his own life, in his own situation. So he realized that Marpa's kindness was even greater than all of the Buddhas. And so in this way, Milarepa had this, level of faith that was sincere, that came through his own realization as well.
Yeah, there he has genuine faith. Okay. So you have few questions, if that's okay. If not, then going to dedication. No questions? Okay.
Thank you, Drupon. Turn to page 24 in your prayer book. By the virtues collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drupon Ratna Shri, who is omniscient, Lord of the Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. And then to page 19. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Changchu Sen Cho Rinpoche Ma Ke Panam Ke Kyurche Ke Panyam Pa Me Pa Yam Gong Ne Changchu Sen Cho Rinpoche Ma Ke Panam Ke Kyurche Ke Panyam Pa Me Pa Yam Gong
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.